Hi there everybody! SaGa Emerald Beyond is the latest entry in the long-running SaGa series, which started all the way back in the 1980s to the present day. And if you know anything about this series, you know that the SaGa games can be rather esoteric experiences, and in today's video, sponsored by Square Enix, I want to go in-depth into SaGa Emerald Beyond and tell you all about it. And if you would like to learn more, please just click the links below in the video description. And while the game is being released on the Switch, PS4, PS5, PC, and mobile, I am specifically reviewing the PS5 version. I just want to get that out of the way to clear up any sort of confusion. And also, hi there everybody, I'm David, and if you are new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe for some more top 10s, news, and reviews, and as always, smash that like button to show your love. And now, let me tell you if this harkens back to the glory days of Final Fantasy Legend, Romancing Saga, and SaGa Frontier. I've been a huge fan of the SaGa series ever since I was a little kid. I got the first game in the series when I was 8 years old back on the Game Boy, and it was there that I really did learn the ins and the outs of SaGa. I saw the non-linearity, how the different races powered up all differently, and how the different weapons were affected by your stats. Many of the basics that we take for granted in these modern SaGa games were first introduced way back in 1989. Of that original trilogy though, my favorite was definitely Final Fantasy Legend 2, and SaGa Emerald Beyond is harkening back to that gem, promising more of the same, but now with 17 different worlds to explore instead of the Game Boy's 12, and fascinatingly, no two worlds will ever feel the same, and no two playthroughs will ever be the same way either, because each world is designed with different stories to tell. They will change from playthrough to playthrough. I mean, you probably won't even meet the same characters that you did the first time around, and that is such a breath of fresh air in today's day and age where games are designed to be like a one-and-done experience. But this here bucks that trend as it's designed with multiple playthroughs in mind. But if you've only played those older SaGa games and you missed out on some of the newer ones such as Scarlet Grace, then this could be kind of like a wake-up call for you. Because if you come in expecting traditional dungeon crawls and strolls through towns where you talk to a bunch of NPCs, that isn't what you're going to be finding here. SaGa has changed a lot over the years, and in many ways this is more like a tabletop RPG, but without the dice and without the RNG. Thank God, this isn't another unlimited SaGa, so do get that thought out of your head. Personally, I love exploring dungeons. I love going into new towns and talking to people, and I love setting out into gorgeous world maps and trying to find little hidden areas and secrets. This game is a bit different as you see that the map is a flat map that you can walk over, but there's still a ton of exploring that you can do on the world map, and while the story sequences are presented in a visual novel type format, with each world having areas for both storyline and development as well as combat. Something that I've always felt was a little bit overwhelming with SaGa was just how many side quests that there are, and not really knowing what to do in order to progress, and just kind of getting lost and frustrated along the way. But that has now all been fixed with the Emerald Wave system. Just by hitting the square button, you'll call upon the Emerald Waves, which will list out all the quests available to you, and then, once you do select the one that you want, a beam of light will appear to guide you on your destination. Sometimes only one thing will pop up. Sometimes multiple events will pop up, but it is completely up to you to decide which events to tackle. The world is your oyster. Do keep this in mind though, that every single decision that you make will affect the outcome of the game. Even something as seemingly simplistic as deciding who to talk to first will change the entire outcome of the world. Also, because of that, sometimes a bunch of events will appear, and then you go off and you'll do one of them, but then the next time that you scan, only a couple of them will appear, and the other events are gone. The world is constantly changing. Though you can control this somewhat by trying to do the blue text bubble or side quest events first, and then maybe going off to do a red battle quest or some fighting, and saving the green explanation points ones for last, because those just move the story along. But ultimately, it's completely up to you, which is the joy of the SaGa games. Right from the start, you have a choice between 5 different stories to go through, but with 6 different characters. Bonnie and Fermina are put together as a cop duo, taking on the same case. And now, let me talk a little bit about each hero, their quests, and their motivations. I believe that Tsunenori's quest is probably the most beginner-friendly. He's what's known as a Kakutsu Puppet Master, which means that he's able to control sentient puppets through combat, and he's tasked with completing the Cathedral project, and thrust into the conjoined worlds to scour them for 4 spirits of great power in order to transfer their strength into his puppets. Another beginner-friendly character is probably Diva number 5's. She's a songstress mech radio personality, and as part of the story, she goes off to a museum to download some music to sing on the broadcast. But she ends up singing Auld Lang Syne, which, for whatever reason, is forbidden. So because of this, they wipe her memory and she loses her ability to sing, and in a sense, her heart. So she sets off into the conjoined worlds to find it. As a side note, I feel like she has the most variety insofar as the different races and characters that join up with her party right from the get-go. She gets humans, robots, monsters, and even ephemerals. There's a lot to play around with here. Bonnie and Fermina are a cop duo working together to find the truth behind the assassination attempt on the president of Capital City. So upon chasing down their suspect, they're pulled into the conjoined worlds to discover the truth behind the assassination attempt and why the suspect feels that the president is a traitor. Then there's the witch Amaya, who assumes the identity of an 11-year-old schoolgirl along with her cat familiar Lolo. But before she can really show you what power she has, all of her magic is taken away. So it's up to her to travel through the worlds, collecting cats of all things, in order to regain her powers in time for her witch exam. And finally, there's the dismal king with equally dismal hair, who's an immortal vampire ruling the world of darkness Yomi. But after a mysterious assailant comes into the throne room, he awakens to find himself in Brightholme, where he's recruited to the king's band of warriors and sent off to fight against demonic invaders. But how in the world can an immortal vampire end up in the afterlife? That's for him to find out. And I've gotta say, I do believe that his quest is probably the hardest, so I would just personally recommend saving his journey until you have some more combat experience. And let's talk about that now. On the surface, this might look like just any other old turn-based RPG, but there is a lot going on underneath the hood. And if you come in here mindlessly attacking, you're going to die with the quickness. This can definitely be a bit on the challenging side if you don't know what you're doing. So let's talk about it. There's a turn order gauge on the bottom of the screen, and then a set amount of stars to indicate how many actions you can take per turn. Each particular action costs a set amount of stars, and at the end of each round of combat, you gain 1 extra star, allowing you to perform an extra action or more powerful attacks as the battle rages on. Also, you can use texts which go off immediately, or use spells, which have a charge time, and if you do nothing, you'll just defend. But don't just think that the turn order gauge is there to tell you whenever it's someone's turn to attack. No ma'am. It's really there for you to build up your combo meter. That is the key to winning. You'll need to pick and choose a variety of attacks in order to move your characters next to one another and get their positioning just right so that the green parallelograms underneath them connect. In doing so, they'll all combine their attacks. And if you get the combo meter up to 200%, then you'll hit overdrive, and you'll get another round of hits in. But on the same token, if you have one character that's much further away from all the other characters and monsters, then they'll get their own little combo called the Showstopper, where they do a wave of attacks against the enemies. But be warned, this works both ways. If the enemies are next to one another, they can pull off a combo too. So sometimes the best bet is to take a character out of the combo and instead place them between the enemies so that the enemies can't get their combo attacks off. During battles, some characters may glimmer or learn new techniques. Some techs might power up by using them pretty often, and monsters may inherit new skills from the defeated foes too. And also after battles, your characters may gain stats and HP naturally, and some races might evolve and change too. It all just depends on the race. If you know your SaGa games, then this is pretty much the combat of SaGa Scarlet Grace, but with the racial aspect of SaGa Frontier thrown in for good measure. It really is the best of both worlds. Now, there's also an equipment system, but not in the way that you think, because there aren't any towns or shops or anything else like that, not even gold. Instead, after each battle you receive crafting items, as well as various pieces of equipment, and it's as simple as going into the menu to see if you have the requisite items and then upgrading your pieces of equipment in order to power up your party. Not only that, but there are roles to consider, as well as formations. Party formations affect the entire battle lineup, whereas roles are individually equipped. You can almost think of roles as like accessories, because rather than raising stats, they actually change the way that a character fights. They might restore lost LP, increase your critical hit rate, increase status resistances, or raise up the combo rate. There is a ton of them, and mixing and matching them is the key to victory. While the game might look simplistic on the surface, I'm telling y'all, there is a lot more here underneath. It's almost like playing like 5 games in one, but it's even more than that, because like I said before, it is designed for multiple playthroughs. There's even a tracker that keeps record of how many times you've beaten a certain character's story. It is built that way from the ground up, and each time that you go through their journey, the worlds will be different. So this really is the gift that keeps on giving. And if you're looking for a fun, lighthearted jaunt with plenty of turn-based goodness along with a deep strategic combat system, then look no further than SaGa Emerald Beyond, releasing for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, mobile, and PC on April 25th. And again, if you do want more information, please do check out the links located in the video description below. And now, I want to ask you, how do you feel about the game, and what's your history with the SaGa series? Let's get a discussion going on here, and let's all talk and chat about it, because I'm always in the comments too. And if you like what I do here on the channel, please head on over to the Patreon to sign up for early access to my videos, as well as behind the scenes photographs. The link to it is in the video description. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.